Hi, Bogdan, and hi, Innocence After Pilot.
Hey.
Welcome, Mira.
Hi.
Okay, let's get started. Seems like there's no more people coming. So let's just get into it. Hang on a second. Some technical issues. All right. I think I'm ready now. Okay, so welcome to September 7th, 2023, Aries V6 community call. Antitrust policy of Hyperledger Foundation is in effect. Just displayed on the screen. And let's see what's on the agenda today. I think nothing huge, but added some points here. So let's just get into it. So, well, first of all, is there any changes to the agenda anyone would like to announce, or any discussion points? All right, so community update. So I was actually yesterday on the Aries board group call. So I'm just kind of propagating some announcements from there. Apparently there's a DID, Decentralized Identity Foundation meetings every second, third, and fourth Mondays in a month. I put a link here. I would like to probably start stopping by once in a while. They also have, I saw they also have Discord. I had the issues joining it for some reason, but I would like to take a look because it seems like DITCOM V2 is getting more and more. It's kind of arising as a new one of the new main topics in the community. And the community now seems to be really pushing the DID exchange stuff and finalizing the DID peer 4. And so, yeah, I think after the kind of community coordinates itself to the DID exchange with some stabilized DID peer implementation, it appears to me like DITCOM V2 might become another step in transitioning the in terms of DITCOM connections and migrating from DID Exchange to DITCOM v2. I had also some questions about that. So first of them was, I was asking about DID Exchange and our strategy in terms of implementation and kind of the thing we discussed in previous call. Basically that we are, since we never had DID Exchange before, we don't carry any legacy burden in DID Exchange itself. I was asking if it makes sense that we actually kind of wait with our implementation, either not merging it yet or marking it as experimental, as it seems that there's going to be more changes to the DID peer and things, the underlying DID Exchange stuff. And good answer from Telegram Sam that makes sense, essentially, that it's probably a good idea to do that. So some confirmation for us as to our decision making. And then second one, I was also asking about.
I'm sorry, Patrick, but what was the conclusion? To wait or to mark it as experimental?
It probably doesn't matter. It just I guess either of them. But the point is that we are, thanks to the fact that we never had the exchange implemented before, unlike other frameworks, we are in kind of sweet spot of not carrying the burden, and it just to wait one way or the other, to give it a bit more patience and let the DID peer for things to stabilize, and then also complete the AATH test. That was also mentioned, that there's ongoing work with Akapai on the DID peer AATH work, and yeah, all these things just needs to come to some point. And I think then we can kind of resume and then actually start worrying about interoperability. But until then, we don't have to worry about intro because things are still moving.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I listened to the recording, and to me it seemed that it was implied there in passing that that AATH will be updated after the community update is done or reaches a certain stage. That was something that was not clear to me. Like, at what point should AATH be used, or if even it should be used during the community update, community coordinated update to ensure the interoperability throughout it.
Honestly, I'm not sure about this and the timelines, but somewhere at some point there was, but I don't know exactly what I was referring to at this point. Sam was mentioning something about 2-3 weeks forward. That things should. So yeah, I'll just drop it because I don't exactly remember what he was referring to now. But I know that such a time frame was mentioned somewhere throughout that discussion.
I missed it completely, but yeah, I from what I understood is that the things should be moving pretty fast, as right now there's quite a pressure to that this kind of these decisions regarding the peer and DID exchange were delayed for a long time, and right now the entire community is under pressure to implement them as soon as possible, which I understand. And I think it's a good thing that that we will be moving faster on this, or we should move faster on this.
I think the actual main driver I'm not sure, but in my opinion, it seems just like intermediary step just to be able to hop onto the DITCOM v2, and I feel like this did exchange thing is just mid step towards that, and the actual community pressure is to go to DITCOM v2, which is more global and exists outside of Aries frameworks.
Yes, that's also something. Yeah, but the question is what the timeline will be there, because implementing DITCOM v2, from what I understood, I'm not too familiar with it, but it has some implications for the messages. For example, there's different way to do signatures. I think that's something that some mentioned.
Yeah,
and-
the did exchange signature issue was mentioned a lot. That's being kind of discussed actively.
No, that's not what I'm talking about.
Then maybe you mean the
The signature attachments and DITCOM v2, that there's kind of a unified way to approach them.
right.
But like what I mean is that implementing DITCOM v2 is like a bigger challenge than just settling on DITPeer or fixing did exchange.
Yeah.
So it will take even longer. And when you take a look at how long the community coordinated update from connection to did exchange has been going for, yeah, it may take quite a long time. So like the hope that you mentioned will probably take quite a long time. So
no, I think there was only about like did exchange, something about did exchange. Definitely DITCOM v2 will be like I think spanning over 2024 for sure.
Yeah, but I'm talking about what you mentioned regarding just quick fixing did exchange to hop to DITCOM v2. That's not how I imagine it will work.
Well,
Yeah, I mean, neither. It kind of seems counterproductive, but anyway.
Sorry, Bogdan?
I was just agreeing with Mira that it doesn't seem like, I know, a good way to go about it. It just seems counterproductive to me.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, did exchange is definitely arguably a better protocol than the connection, which is like real legacy. But my point was, I mean, not disregarding the improvements on did exchange and that it's valuable to actually do this transition. But I just feel like the ultimate driver for converting to like the latest like did exchange is to eventually to be able to like hop further to DITCOM v2, but that's just maybe just kind of my thesis, thesis.
Well, it's about like incremental steps, but those incremental steps will take a long time, because like hopping from did exchange, which is incomplete to begin with, or not perfect to begin with, as far as the spec is concerned, to DITCOM v2 is a bigger step than from like that is a big step. So
no, I agree.
Hoping from, it's not like I'm not.
But I agree. It's intermediary step, but the ultimate driver is DITCOM v2. That's why it's important to go on did exchange, because then it's a lot reasonable to go to.
I think what Mira is trying to say is that incremental is fine, but usually incremental steps are in the are towards the same general direction, you know. Whereas the DITCOM v2 and did exchange, as incomplete, especially as it is now, don't really seem to be going towards the same thing. Or this is just my take on it.
And it's not only that like there will be a long time until we get full support for DITCOM v2, but we will also have to support DITCOM v1 for a while.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm sure we'll be still running DID exchange connections. Well, we will have to have a period of time when we support both for sure until things gets migrated, but that's a long, I think, kind of far ahead of us. So just want to mention it, discuss a little bit. One more question I had about DITCOM v2, and Miro, you heard it, I guess, but was what's gonna be impact of migrating to DITCOM v2 for the other protocols like issuance and presentation, and that's what you were getting into, Mira. But I think it was not, so there is gonna be impact. I think it was not about signatures per se, but it was about attachments in general. And
sorry.
And that there's apparently 3 ways of kind of, I don't know, formatting of or approaching the attachments in DITCOM v1 in Aries, and the most prominent, and then in DITCOM v2 they selected only one of those 3 ways, and apparently the one which is selected is the one which is not prominently used in like Aries community DITCOM v1. So that's gonna be that seems like the main impact for the other protocols, but that sounds like something that can be sorted out. Not a terribly huge challenge, I think.
Yeah, I kind of skimmed through what was going on the AFJ meeting. They are already discussing implementation of DITCOM v2, and it seems that you also want to kind of start thinking about it. Yeah, I would just try to not get ahead of ourselves, because there is a lot of things that we have to do before that, or should do before that.
I agree.
So,
DID exchange, finish up the state machines and unify them, and then we got update from George, who couldn't attend today. He's looking into he's apparently interested in the v2 issuance presentation protocols, so he will start probably implementing those. So I think those will be completed before we ever start thinking practically about DITCOM v2. So once we do DITCOM v2, I think the only protocols we would migrate would be the v2 versions. I wouldn't do it for the v1 issuance and presentations, assuming that we will have those v2s completed by the time we start thinking about DITCOM v2. But I think that's enough time buffer for us to complete those.
Perhaps just on a tangent or just slightly related, when you were talking about AATH and updating it in 3 or 4 weeks or something, in order for us to be able to use AATH after it's updated, we will have to support the fully qualified identifiers as well. So just kind of want to point that out, that we should perhaps like start thinking about it. Start thinking about implementing them.
Right. Yeah. Well, but that's slightly so I don't know what exactly is the AATH plans, how they execute it, but technically they could just do the DID exchange and then leave the identifiers still unqualified for the CREDEX tests. But I'm not sure what's the plan there.
Well,
maybe
it seems that BCGO, which is the main supporter of AATH, maintainer, as represented by Steven. What I'm trying to say, Steven is of the opinion that we should use AATH should use fully qualified identifiers, which I agree with. And yeah, there seems to be like quite an agreement on this in the community. So if we want to keep using ATH to test interoperability, like not just the exchange, but all protocols, if it's going to be updated in 4 weeks, we should like support for Wi-Fi identifiers as soon as possible. No?
Yeah, sounds good. Sounds that's a good point. And maybe we should start also, I don't know, at least one of us who visit from time to time the AATH meetings. I think they're every 2 weeks on some day. Never been there, but I think I mean AATH is quite crucial for the success of all of these Aries projects. So maybe we should stop by to kind of see what's happened, what's going on, especially this qualification and the exchange, did peers.
As the number of frameworks is growing, I heard that there is a new Kotlin framework alongside the Swift Aries framework. Yeah, it's kind of competition on the side of native development.
That was which language?
Kotlin, Swift.
Oh, really?
Oh, Swift is a little like older now, but Kotlin is a new.
Oh, interesting. All right, let's move forward with the agenda. It was a good discussion, though, very good. And some important points made. One more thing I want to point out today: there is an Indie Summit, 3 p.m. CET. Not sure if I'll be able to make it. I registered, but I have some. I'm not sure if I can make it. So if you're interested, go ahead. I also don't know what the agenda for the summit is and what it's really about. So it's a bit of a surprise.
I think it's about discussing the future of Indie.
Indie as a blockchain, right? I suppose.
Indie as a blockchain, yeah.
Right.
There is like there is a lack of support for maintaining, I think. So that's kind of an attempt to gather support for it or something from the community, because a lot of people are using it. So,
Mira, do you think you'll have the time to stop by there?
I was not definitely. I wasn't planning to stop by. I didn't know about it taking place today.
Right.
Yeah. So
we'll see. Yeah. Maybe I'll get there. Also not sure. Mentorship updates. So the Mediator project is a bit of a I don't know, stuck for a little bit. We've been in the same spot for a while now, waiting for like working on implementing the connection protocol. So and then she was I think she was didn't feel well last Tuesday on a status call. So I'm not sure. Perhaps we'll get some updates like tomorrow or next week. Unify project is making some nice progress there. We had one PR merged, I think last week, and there's a new PR open now with QR code scanning. So from Swapnil and linking onto that, there was these removing some auto-generated bindings from the project. So, and the scanning, was that already merged? Swap. Oh yeah, that must be merged already. Let me just check that. Oh yeah, there we go, 1 hour ago. Awesome. So kudos to Swapnil for progressing on this stuff. Yeah, now let's get to our weekly overview. So I guess the main things that has been merged was the refactor of the rather not refactor, changes of state machine handlers for prover, well, presentation and issuance protocol handlers, removing all of the IO. There was some breaking changes coming along with that, but only for the intermediate states, pretty much. So the impact was limited. It's all described in the PRs. And the most importantly, these changes have now unlocked doing another amazing improvements, like we have in this PR, removing mediated connection from issuance and presentation protocol, since this issuance and presentation state machines no longer need to know about existence of connections. Now this unlocked these changes where we can actually drop all the connection related vocabulary from issuance and presentation tests and purely deal with issuance and presentation state machines on their own. So that drops lots of mental baggage to carry when looking and reading those tests or trying to write them. Also, there's lots of simplifications here for the kind of related kind of testing workflows code. So really great job here, Mira. It also arguably, this is gonna, I know it's not the main bottleneck, as you pointed out, Amira, but still this is gonna speed up the tests as well, as we no longer need to have any kind of pollings. I know that there was 1-2 second waits before here and there while waiting for the message. And now we got rid of that. So they're definitely gonna be faster, even though the main bottleneck is still as you point out here in the description, the main bottleneck is the ledger communication, especially creating the credential definitions. So I would actually correct this. The main bottleneck is kind of the CPU workload generating the keys for credential definitions and stuff like that. But yeah, that's all in the kind of initial setup. So that can be mediated by sharing schemas and credential definitions between the tests whenever possible. So we can perhaps look into that after this. But yeah, this is great. Next up in review, we have a demo which I was working on. I got the nice reviews here from George and Bogdan. Very good points made. I think it can be indeed simplified. George had some smaller comments. Bogdan had more conceptual comments, which I think I agree with, and we can probably get rid of this. Maybe it can stay. I don't know. It might be useful sometime, but probably not necessary anymore for the demo purposes anymore. So I'll address these concerns. I'll look into it, play with it a bit more. And yeah, then we have the UniFFI demo QR scanning. We already touched on that by Swapnil, our mentee. And well, I put the did exchange in the parked section here, and I just created. For the state, we already discussed the state it is right now. We are kind of waiting for DITPeer to finalize and AATH to PACAPI to support DITPeer. I guess DITPeer 4 now. Yeah, and yeah, and then we started the kind of on a message building API or some builders for the messages create. We don't have a GitHub issue for that per se, but Bogdan, do you have I don't know, some status or thoughts, updates on this one?
Yeah, I didn't push any code because it basically implies like I did the builders. Right now I'm just working on integrating them into Aries VCX and probably the adjacent crates. I don't necessarily see if it's needed. I see some errors in the wrappers. the NAPRS wrappers. But yeah, without the integration done, all the CI would fail. I can push the code by all means, but if you want to have a look at it preliminarily. But the CI will definitely fail because I'm removing those new methods and the constructors that we've had so far, and basically just added builders instead. Fortunately, I already did some research on that like a while ago, and resorted using the type builder crate. It mostly was more than sufficient, actually. I was even surprised. There was only like one small tweak that I had to do for the message parts. You'll see what I'm talking about. To basically allow building the message without decorators if they can be just default, or for instance, for those messages that do not need decorators. But yeah, apart from that, it's actually been, and even that, it was just, I guess, just a small tweak, like I said. Yeah, so it's in progress. Should be done maybe today or tomorrow latest. And you can have a look. Like I said, if you're really eager to see, I can do a PR already and just
No, feel free
disable
to
the CI or something.
feel free to push at your discretion. Just
But I
one.
do have to say that it does look like it's already much nicer to kind of work with the messages this way and build them up.
Is it is this builder crate you're using based on procedural macros?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Yeah, I just I know
Yeah, it's unlikely
one
because you cannot.
disadvantage of that is the ID support, and I think that some IDs have it kind of better, and some
Yeah, I
IDs
mean, it's not even the ID, it's the Rust plugin. The IntelliJ one is not as, I don't know, maybe not as good as Rust Analyzer. So
yeah, but surely it's gonna be easier to build out than nicer to look at than without the builders. Maybe I'll have to switch my ID, or well, technically, so usually users of RZ6 wouldn't build messages themselves. So that's
they might, though. I mean, I don't know necessarily. Wouldn't they build messages themselves? I don't even know.
I guess that depends of the approach they take. Kind of this question spans into future as whether they would
Right.
using the state machines. In that case, they don't have to. But if they don't use state machines, they will likely build the messages themselves, right?
Yeah, it could be.
Oh,
Yeah,
well,
but especially
maybe
like in
not.
terms of decorators or stuff like that, messages sending out, you might want to build stuff, I guess. I don't know.
I think I actually come to think about it, regardless of state machines, I think usually you wouldn't end up building the messages yourself, but you might want to like edit them or something like that. But one message type which you'll definitely want to likely build is out of band messages. I think that's kind of it's something I ran into in the demo I was writing, and we have kind of a out of band handler for that, which essentially is kind of handcrafted builder. It's not much more than that. So I feel like out of the messages are something you're likely to build on your own, build on your own, but maybe not the others. So yeah, we'll see. I'll be curious about the PR, but yeah, feel free to push it whenever you're ready.
Yeah.
And-
I guess it really depends on like this is maybe not very important, but it could be good to know whether actual consumers of the crate will be of Aries V6 will be building messages or not, and maybe at a larger scale. I don't know, like in terms of the API, maybe some stuff could be done better. Like especially, I don't know, I guess the whole point would be also, so the type builder crate is basically relying on a type system and some generics to kind of generate it's basically type state. That's exactly what it is. It's a type state. It creates type state builders. And you can only build them once all the fields were set, and so on and so forth. Now that comes with the benefit that you can't really mess up building the message and forget stuff and only discover at runtime. But if consumers are not really building messages, you know, there's also like a different crate, the Rive builder, which basically relies on runtime. Like it just accepts options and stuff, and then wraps them at runtime and tries to build your structure, or even I know handwritten builders. And the point of that being that technically, when you don't rely on type state and generics like that, and you have like a singular type, like the Rive builder crate is doing, you can afford doing some builder gymnastics, so to say, like passing builders around, you know, as an incomplete messages that you just build more dynamically in the code. Whereas with the type state pattern, it's just more convoluted, as I guess we all know from all the state machines that we've been doing. So like I said, it's basically sort of a architecture / design question, which we don't necessarily even have to answer right now. And the benefit of those two crates is that they're really interoperable. Like they both use the same attributes for fields and so on, and they mean the same thing. So you can basically you can even use both of them, I believe, at the same time. Although I don't, maybe you have to rename on it the builder methods, but you can swap them out. That was one of the selling points, I believe. So yeah, like I said, it might be good to think about this down the line. I don't know. But yeah, nevertheless, like in the short term, this should make it fairly easy to kind of work with this. So
I see.
much more nicer to work with messages.
Miro, you have any thoughts on the builder approach for messages?
No, but passing builders around reminded me that in the did-peer crate, for example, I did quite benefited from passing around the did document builder. So that's a feature that I think the builders would ideally support. But those are kind of the decisions that I don't have the full. I would have to think about them more.
Yeah, that's the thing. This definitely lacks context. So I'm just putting it out there. Like I said, it's kind of a tough thing to figure out on the spot. But it could be the case. So if Mira had a situation like this, and I guess it really also depends on how common they are. Like if you have to do it, I don't know, 3 times throughout the code base, then you can maybe work around that. You know, I don't know, maybe not if we have to and if it's worth it. But if it's more of like it's a more common pattern to just pass builders around and do stuff like that, then it might be worth taking a different approach or just switching crates or something.
Okay, we'll see how it fits and how it works, how it fits our needs and needs of the consumers. If it turns out that they need to actually build lots of messages and pass them around incomplete or something like that. So we'll see. And yeah, that kind of brings us to the end. So I guess we can wrap it up. Do you have anything else, guys, to bring up?
Nothing from my side.
No.
All right. So I guess that's being confirmed. We can officially wrap up. Thank you, guys. Have a good rest of the week and have a nice day.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye-bye.